My name's Katrina Jean Taylor, an energy healer and medical intuitive, but I've got Nicole Shepherd today, and we're going to talk about medical intuitive healing. What would you like to start with today, Nick?
Hi, Trina. In last month's monthly conference meeting, you talked about, we practiced, and you talked about communicating with the body's intelligence. And I wanted to ask how is the body intelligence? So we're tapping into like thoughts or energy? Like, what are we actually doing when we remote view?
Fantastic question.
The body?
So those monthly workshops, especially next year in 2024, each month are going to be targeting medical intuitive skills that we've learnt in the level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 medical intuitive courses. To be a medical intuitive, you've really got to be accurate in your intuitive skills. So the reason why that last meeting was concentrating on tapping into the body's natural intelligence, which I think is the key to helping the mind, the body, the soul to communicate. And at times we forget that we do have natural abilities to heal alongside other ways to support us to be able to move forward and heal. So that meeting began with skills in medical intuitive level 1. Number 1 is you've got to train your intuitive skills, your insights. And we went through 7 glands. And if you remember, we started off with the thyroid gland. And I like starting off with the thyroid gland because when we discuss the thyroid gland and we view the thyroid gland, physically it's red, but intuitively it's our center point of getting focused. And it's our way of really looking inside yourself or being aware that you do have natural instincts to be able to communicate with the intelligence of the body. I believe every cell has intelligence within our body, but sometimes through blockages of meridian centers blocked or some process inside your body, some part of your body is not working effectively. I think if we can wake up the calling or the memory or the intuitive way to be able to release block energy or energy within the body without harming any other help you're getting, i.e. medical field, if you're having chemotherapy or radiation or any other form of support that you need. I think as a medical intuitive, we must not interrupt with the intelligence of that type of wonderful healing that can help our body heal. So back to the intelligence of our body. I believe every cell has an intelligence to heal, but the brain and our cells, we forget that we can do that. And an example is if someone cuts their finger off, or loses part of their body or has one kidney taken out, the feeling and the memory and the neural pathways are still going to the brain. So you can feel it's like phantom finger. But who says that the brain does not still recognize that finger, even though the finger's not there, it's been cut? And I think that that's such an intelligent part of our beautiful brain and our mind to be able to help us heal as well as our intuitive skills.
So when we're teleporting, we touch our thyroid and then we teleport we'll get a certain part of the body that you're guided to, and that is where the stuck energy is.
Oh, cool question. Let's talk about teleportation. Some people might not understand what that means. I think teleporting or teleportation is the most important thing anyone can learn. Some people can be in 5 places at one time. Throughout history, there's always been people like myself and others that can teleport to the future, the past, the present, and I think it's really important that we teleport, which means be in the exact place at the right time, which means teleport your body as well. You've got to focus. And the way to focus to do a medical intuitive scan is to start at the thyroid. Notice your saliva. Do your 3 breaths, which is the direction technique in voluntary breaths. It's wonderful to take those 3 breaths and notice that this is an innate part of the human body that I believe the direction technique has also founded, that to recognize those 3 breaths, go back to your thyroid gland, imagine an infinity sign inside the thyroid gland, and there's your point of call, so you don't get distracted. It's so easy to get distracted. And yes, we do not diagnose. No, we do not diagnose. But people need answers. And if they get the answers, then they can find the right doctor at the right time, or the right person they need. They need to go and exercise, or they just need to sit still, resource, find the root cause, and then outsource and find the answers of what to do to change a situation. Not just a physical condition, it could be emotional, or it could be do the dressing technique to make your life even better. So we start teleportation in the thyroid gland first. And then we harmonize, as you noticed the last workshop we did. It was a combination of the 5 workshops I do. I took skills in every one out of that last monthly workshop. And one of the skills was, yes, teleportation to the thyroid gland. And then we teleported to the thymus gland, or the pituitary gland, or the pineal gland, or the adrenal glands, the reproductive gland. But I think each of those glands have got an important part of our body, and also enzymes, hormones, tracking a gland. And then you can start to communicate with the intelligence of the gland. Then the gland can track you to another part of the body. The liver can track you to the stomach. A lot of people have stomach problems, and then they don't know what to do with it, especially when you can track the colon and of the stomach, and the hair follicles in the stomach, and it's really exciting for me.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then when you talked about you mentioned the endocrine system, and how everything kind of all works together. So obviously when one part of the body is not working properly, or it's blocked, it affects everything else. So sort of freeing up the energy. But I find it's helpful because a lot of times you said, like, if you got stomach problems, you don't know where to start, you don't know who to go see. So that can help identify the particular area, like, and what to do next, get some strategies.
Yeah.
Kind of pinpoint the area.
And then focus, like, use your time wisely. Find the right person to help you. Do direction technique. Get centered with the doctor. Help. It's wonderful. We don't self-diagnose. We allow ourselves to communicate with the intelligence of our body to help whatever new evolution of new modern drugs are happening for ourselves with our intuition. We really need, I think it's critical. It's so critical, especially for our future, that these intuitive, heightened skills are never lost. Never lost. And that's what excites me, is about communicating with the intelligence of the body. We noticed was that saliva. Did we talk about that the other night?
I've got saliva now, yeah.
Yeah, so did I.
What does that mean then? So you're scanning, and then you get to a particular spot or an organ, and then you get a lot of saliva.
Well,
suddenly.
It depends. I do, and clients do, but a lot of people don't recognise the importance of the saliva. When I had years ago a client that was next to a chemical factory that exploded and ended up getting brain cancer, but finds me with no answers, but then also uses whatever she needs to do with the medical field. It was just such an explosion at that exact time that invaded into her brain. It was exciting to find the initial invasion inside her body. But to get back to the saliva, I said to her, do you taste a metallic taste in her saliva? Because mine was a metallic taste. And as an ancient healer, what we do is we take energy out of people's bodies and then we transfer it into another form of another healing. That is evolving every time we speak. We've got to rid some of the toxins out of people's body, and if that person starts to notice this toxic, hard taste in her mouth, she's actually becoming extremely aware or intuitive of throughout a healing. I love that tracking of the saliva, because once energy is shifted and transformed and processed and grow, rejuvenate, of course the cells in the body are going to become more intelligent. They're changing. So within one energy healing, you can notice how much change is happening inside a body, and that excites me, because after that, then they've given a chance to recognize changes after a healing, after an energy healing, and then they can take action of what to do with that. And then, have you noticed sometimes during a healing, the saliva's either dry or moist, or it's one another way that I think the direction technique uses as a system to be able to allow people to be aware of changes inside the body, on how the energy fields within every cell is changing after an energy healing.
It makes sense to notice your saliva more, and then the more you notice, the more you can tell when it's like sticky or got the metallic taste. And then you can track back, go, ooh, what's that?
Yeah, and then you track back, and then you go back, you touch your thyroid. But look, there's 24 videos that are part of it, and 4 1-hour consultations with me to have healings and learning, and ultimately it's quite exciting to be able to get the support, the individual support, to train your intuitive skills, especially level 1, so that you can become better at innate healing, hearing sounds. By the time you hear proper sounds, that's not till level 2 or 3, because you've got to listen to the sounds of the intelligence of the viruses. And that excites me too, because I think sound healings, especially why I've done dolphin or whale meditations, is to help people recognize harmonious sounds to change the cells of the body.
Yeah, and then one last question I had in regards to obviously the strategies and cells, and just in terms of, like, we get the strategy to kind of give ourselves like a new thought, so replace like an old thought, like you're obviously repeatedly telling yourselves a certain thought, and then you can kind of get a new strategy, change your thinking, change the cells, like
you're summing it up great, Nick. And that's what
it's amazing to put into words.
Well, I think the great thing is the strategies and direction you get after the healing, and the strategies and the direction helps your mind, the brain, the neurons, your hand, picking up a pen, taking action, knowing what to do in 3 days' time. I'm going to do this, or in 4 days' time, I'm going to be aware of this. Because what happens, I believe, and it's not hard, but the awareness is the key to making sure an unhealthy habit changes. I love it saying thoughts, because with the direction technique, we do healings at certain times to either do a healing or change a perception. To go back to a situation, to look at it objectively. I think that's the key. If you can look at something objectively, then use your intuition, saliva, touch your thyroid. To finish, the thyroid is the most important gland at the moment. I'm not talking medically or anything. I'm just talking as a point of call to focus, so we can get back to remote viewing back inside our body. And what I found is a lot of people, when they find me, they've got so much to heal. And by the time they found you, they're quite confused, because they've got so much to heal. Well, my job and your job is to listen to their stories, hologram their stories, focus. And each story has a word. And those words for direction technique are the most important thing, I believe. Even though everything's important in it, but each word has a story. So can you imagine what it's like to hunt for word, body, finally root cause, one word, and then you use the direction technique visualization, and that gives you more knowledge. And once you get the more knowledge, you can make a decision: do I want to change this or not? And then that's the great part, because they go, well, what should I do? And I go, well, let's find out. Touch the thyroid.
Yeah.
And then they listen. And it's so beautiful because they find their own way to find their own inner answers with the support of what they need to do. Direction technique, medical doctor, whatever they need to do to support their process. Process, which is the last video in Medical Intuitive 2. And I love process because it's a process to change, and it's a process to make sure that you use every part of your body, which now you ended up with the mind. The mind's really important, don't you think? We can get interfering thoughts, yes?
Yeah.
By collective consciousness, which is Medical Intuitive 2. Medical Intuitive 2 is all about empathy. A lot of people have no idea how to use empathy as an important skill. Once you've done that, you're on the road to watching and observing objectively. By the time we get to 3, I think it's 2 and 3, it's listening to the sounds of the virus. But not only that, we introduce ancient healing, which is extremely imperatively important because it's so focused. It's like heat in the hand, and then we go into freezing cold. And I know that you've found that lately, Nick. Parts of your body become freezing cold, and I find it interesting that the world is talking about ice bath things, ice bath therapies, and I mean, they're good at times and they're good not at times. It depends. I heard another point of view from a nurse. At times you shouldn't have those, but I think that ice cold heat, and targeting the ancient ways on how we heal, remove the energy of dysfunctional, whatever they want to call. They don't call them diseases. I don't get that word. But we've got to be really careful about words, and not
bring the body back to balance.
Bring the body back to balance.
Yeah, that's interesting. Endless topics to discuss.
I know. That's awesome questions. We've got so much covered today, I think. I think we've covered a little bit.
The key is to knowing when to do something, the timing, with the direction technique can help you to know when to have an ice bath and when not to have an ice bath.
Yeah, awesome. And if you want to have whatever you want to do, acupuncture or whatever, when to have the acupuncture and when not to have the acupuncture, or when to make a critical decision, or when to get out of the line of a disaster. The world's going through a lot of changes, and I think now we've got to become more within ourselves. We can have our own beliefs. There's no harm with that, but choose what beliefs you want to have. Just be centered in anything you want to do. If you need a rest, have a rest. If you don't need a rest, use your time wisely and be in the right place at the right time.
Sounds good. Thanks, Trina.
Thanks, Nick, for today, and thanks for all your questions. They're really, really great, and you get me focused. So I love that. Nicole Shepherd for having a talk with me today. See you, Nick.
Bye.
Bye.